So not too long ago, Watch Dogs 2 went from being $60, full AAA premium price, down to like $8. So yeah, Steam Summer Sale absolutely cooked it. When I saw that wishlist notification, I literally just stared at my screen and went, oh yeah, that was a game that existed. I played that back in the day, a ton actually. And then for some reason I thought it would be a good idea to buy a Ubisoft game in 2025, which probably got me put on some form of watch list for mentally unstable individuals. But then I started asking myself, why don't I ever think about this game? I enjoyed Black Flag, Far Cry 3, those were bangers. Sure, this game came out a little bit later, but Ubisoft's rep was still pretty decent up until that point as far as I can remember. I waited for it to finish downloading, booted it up, finished it, and dude, I think Watch Dogs 2 is actually a little bit underrated.
There it is!
Now don't get me wrong, this isn't one of my favorite games of all time or anything. Fuck no, Garfield Kart blows this shit out of the water. But I do kinda understand the opinion that some people that tried to be a little too different back then had, that this could be a genuine competitor to GTA. To be more specific, I do believe that the potential was truly there with this franchise. For starters, the gameplay itself is actually pretty refreshing. Marcus himself controls pretty smoothly, and the jumping and climbing mechanics are a good way to encourage exploration while also giving you some nice eye candy and really making you feel like you're a part of a 2015 in real life Assassin's Creed parkour video. Now, do you need to climb over fences in some stylistic show-offy way? No, not really. But it does, however, do a pretty good job of giving you so many different vantage points whenever you're doing a mission or even just dicking around in the open world. Doesn't matter if it's a building or a vehicle, pretty much everything can be climbed on in this game. Like, it actually does make you feel like the city is a giant playground, not just a big map with invisible walls everywhere. In Watch Dogs 2, you can use parkour to avoid entire fights. Climb over a fence, set off a distraction with your drone, and suddenly you skip like 10 minutes of combat. It also helps that San Francisco is the perfect setting for it. You've got all those steep hills, construction sites, massive bridges, and even Alcatraz, so pretty much everywhere you go there's something to climb. And the funny part is that you don't really even think about it too much. You only notice how good it is when you go back to something else and suddenly feel like your character's legs stop working when you hit a waist-high fence. But as far as the combat goes, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Takedown animations take about 30 fucking years to play out, which means that half the base has spotted you by the time Marcus finishes his WWE routine. And can someone explain to me why the fuck a yo-yo deals more damage to a heavily armored guard than an AK-47 to the skull? Personally, I think they should have given you the option to unlock better takedowns through the skill tree like you do in Far Cry 3. Start off clumsy, then get cooler finishers as you progress. That would have just made way more sense. That being said though, the firefights themselves are actually pretty fun. The AI isn't smart, but it's aggressive. They'll throw grenades, they'll actually pressure you, and unlike GTA where protagonists can take bullets to the face, Marcus is fragile as fuck. Even when you dump skill points into resistance, he's still pretty squishy, and honestly, I do actually like that. It makes you respect your enemies early on instead of just running in like a maniac. The weapons and how they're used also feel way more thought out than you would expect. Marcus only gets 3 firearm slots, so you can't exactly carry a small nation's worth of hardware like you do in GTA. Usually you're fine with a taser, which by the way somehow downs heavies faster than a slug to the face, a shotgun, and some form of automatic weapon with a scope. That limited variety forces you to be more careful about when to pick fights, and yeah, the core gunplay is nothing special. It's below average Ubisoft shooting, but stringing together a perfect base takedown feels slick. It's got that John Wick cleaning a room vibe, which almost makes up for the jank. It feels tactical but also chaotic, like the game's giving you a toolbox and daring you to freestyle with it. And now the hacking, the gimmick Ubisoft wouldn't shut up about in the trailers, and shockingly it's okay. The little circuit puzzles aren't hard by any means, but the occasional time limits do keep you focused. The real magic, however, comes from how much freedom you get from the NPCs and the environment. From the second you load in, you have the ability to snoop through random people's lives, income, jobs, and hobbies. You can blow up manhole covers during police chases, jam traffic lights, hack someone's phone and turn it into a taser, hijack a car mid-getaway, send it straight into a wall. This is where it all clicks. The hacking doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels like the glue that holds all the shooting, sneaking, and driving together. And later on, you can even unlock options that are even more versatile. You can frame someone as a gang member or make them look like they're on the FBI's most wanted list, then watch an entire war break out in a Starbucks parking lot. Pair that with your RC car, your drone, and the ability to hijack vehicles, jam signals, block reinforcements. The stealth is fun, and this all ties into the mission design, which is surprisingly open. There are usually multiple ways to approach objectives, and Ubisoft deserves credit for that. It's about how you decide decide to create the chaos, not just about finishing the objective. But I do have one pretty big complaint, and that's that I do wish that there were actually a few more missions with a slightly more linear structure. For example, Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of has the opposite issue. The game forces overly linear mission design on you 24/7, which does get annoying fast, and Rockstar absolutely should have given players more freedom. However, something that I bring up on my video about RDR2 is that sometimes those tighter, more scripted moments can actually improve the experience and actually make a mission stick in your memory, and it gives it that extra punch. And while you do have an increased freedom, you do have to keep in mind that a lot of the objectives in this game are pretty fucking identical, which kind of leads to a lot of missions to blend together because of this, and it's a shame because that freedom of gameplay really is amazing. And as far as the open world is concerned, I'd say it's pretty alright. For the most part, you just have a ton of gang hideouts you can clear out, which results in you getting some money or unlocking a new piece of clothing. NPCs react realistically to the world around them, cops investigate instead of instantly knowing where you are, and the side missions are pretty okay too. A lot of them do copy the main mission format you'll see in the story mode, but then you'll stumble upon some stuff like helping Aiden Pierce. And the map of San Francisco, it's genuinely great. Landmarks feel authentic, like the Noodle/Google HQ is a fun parody, and Alcatraz is fully explorable, which is an extremely nice touch. The city itself feels bright, alive, and packed with little details that keep you exploring. And every side activity and even Easter egg you'll see around the map perfectly ties into the story. The main plot in Watch Dogs 2 is just that there's a bunch of mega corporations abusing surveillance to predict crimes before they happen and to farm data off of unsuspecting civilians. It's interesting, but the problem is the characters. The crew is memorable on the surface, Marcus, Sitara, Wrench, but they rarely go deep enough for you to actually care about them a lot. They feel more like quirky co-workers than real friends. Like Horatio, he shows up a handful of times early on, seems cool, but then suddenly just dies for emotional impact. Like, bro, we had 8 fucking conversations. He was just written to be killed off, and it really does suck. Since out of all the main cast, he was the one that seemed the most normal and adjusted to society, even having a job. Compare that to Wrench, who actually does get some emotional moments later in the game, and those actually land way better. I'm not sure why they couldn't just do this with Horatio as well. And then there's Dushan, the main villain. Ubisoft usually nails charismatic psychos, think Voss or Pagan Min, and Dushan seems like he's gonna be that guy. His introduction is strong, his first face-off with Marcus has weight, and the scene where he steals Wrench's mask and stares into the camera, absolutely chilling. But after that, nothing really happens. He doesn't even do anything that much. He's supposed to be this mastermind pulling strings behind the scenes, but on screen he's just kind of there, and that's frustrating because the setup was right there. And that's kind of the whole game in a nutshell. Watch Dogs 2 doesn't really fail at anything at all, but it doesn't really excel in it either. It's enjoyable, stylish, and worth checking out if you already have it on Epic or Game Pass, but man, if Ubisoft had just given it 1 or 2 more years in the oven, fleshed out Horatio, made Dushan an actual threat, added some more varied missions, this game could have been remembered the same way people remember Black Flag or Far Cry 3. Instead, it's just a good game that could have been great.